in Venice. Training in Venice.
Yeah.
Training
Like
in
20,
Venice.
it's 8 miles and it takes like an hour. I think it's like 11 miles, but it's the
What do you
least.
do in that hour? Do you listen to us? Do you
No, I just tune out, stare at the ocean. It's my me time. No phone, no nothing.
put
Just
on some
like
brown
get ready.
noise?
Yeah.
Have you heard of brown noise?
No.
Do you know what brown noise? It's the it's not the opposite of white noise, but it plays in the brain and the neurons and differently, so you get a better. You feel white noise can be nearly anything. It can be a fan or whatever, but brown noise is specific to your health and your well-being
How
and
do
your
you
sleep.
find it?
Just look at Spotify, brown noise. There's a 12-hour
Someone
playlist.
creates it?
Someone created it.
Can you win a Grammy for brown noise?
Best brown noise creator. Sure. Sleep enhancing creator, brown noise.
Okay.
Tom in your basement, brown noise creator. Well done. All
Let's
right, let's
get
go.
going.
Yes, let's do this.
I want to open up with this. Does spring training matter?
I posed that question to you, so you have to answer it.
Yes. And I'm going to give you 3 personas and 3 reasons why.
Right.
Consist of players, organizations, and the commissioner.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right, big
Ooh.
man. Let's get into this. Hitters, they can't just get off their couch and face Garrett Cole.
No.
They can't just have a player or cousin or friend like me throwing BP, a batting machine, maybe throws 100, but it doesn't have the mechanics of a Ben Joyce 100-mile-an-hour fastball or an Aaron Nola curveball.
True.
And pitchers like Justin Verlander, he's 42. His curveball was off. Last year, hitters hit 340. He's tinking with a new grip.
Okay.
He's got to figure something out. That's why hitters and pitchers need spring training.
Okay.
Organizations need it because they need to evaluate their talent.
True.
They need to understand which of these young players can come up if there's an injury and make an impact to my team.
Right.
Which of these younger players are coveted by other organizations so I can trade these players and get assets to make a run. And last but not least, the commissioner, he needs to test out these new systems, like the automated ball strike system. And for this is why there needs to be spring training. Now, does it need to be 30 days, 30 games? I don't know, but it needs to be something.
Okay. I agree with you. Absolutely. And in terms of like fans, I feel like you missed a part though. Fans also need this, like, I want to explore who are the up and coming players. I want to get to know the team better. You go to spring training, there's intimacy about it. Like there's opportunities to meet the players. You do get to see like, what does the team look like after free agent additions? Who's pitching well, who's not, who's a guy that you could see play that maybe didn't, who might make the roster at the end of the day. I do love spring training. I've been to the Arizona spring training multiple times now. I've never been to the one in Florida.
The one in Florida is tough because it's so spread out. The best part about Arizona is you can stay in Scottsdale, the hub of everything that goes on in Arizona, and all the ballparks are maybe 30 to 45 minutes away. In Arizona, you're going from like Kissimmee, Florida, down to like Vero Beach or like Fort Myers or Sarasota. So it's really hard to see all of the ballparks. You just have to see one ballpark and hope that your team comes. Where in Arizona, you can go see the Brewers, you can go see the Reds, and everything is so much closer.
Now we have been to spring training before, and as you say that, I'm thinking, I'm like, I think we might have hit 2 games in a day. But my last question, as we wrap up spring training, does the record matter? Does the record matter?
The record doesn't matter, but the reps matter.
The reps matter. Okay. So it's not how much weight you gain or lose, but it's how many reps you get in.
Yeah, because in the beginning, starters are playing like 3-4 innings, 2 at bats, pitchers are limited. And so it's really your AA and AAA teams playing the bulk of the innings early on when you're probably maybe winning or losing games. It's like the second unit of the NBA going against the second unit of the NBA.
So let's take it the first 2/3 of spring training don't matter relative to the score, right? Everything's getting ironed out. Now we get in the last third. We want guys playing almost going through game day routines. We want them going. Yes. Okay. So maybe we look at that. Maybe we get the intern to deal that and look at that last third chunk and see how relative it is to the outcome of the regular season.
Because that's when the teams are ramping up, the players are ramping up. A lot of Major League Baseball players just need to see what this live pitching looks like, right? So a lot of people are just tracking pitches. Like I
Yep.
talked to my brother about it. He says sometimes we just go and watch and just track pitches, track pitches. You got to see the release. It's all about timing, timing, timing. That's what it matters because you have to get your timing back.
And I can't wait to see Altuve in left field. That's going to be fun. So
Wow.
that just oof. All right.
He's probably not going to rob too many home runs. Hello and welcome to Big Ben and K Winn. Each week we broadcast live on YouTube. If you're watching this live or on demand, drop your comments below. If you like audio podcasts and don't like looking at our ugly faces, don't worry. Download, listen, subscribe, and 5 stars anywhere you get your audio podcasts. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about NFL free agency. We might talk a little NCAA basketball. We'll get into some social media mentions and much, much more. I'm K Winn. He's Big Ben. And how do you want to get started today?
First, I got to go to Magic Mind. You and I are both on the Magic Mind train. I want to talk about the power of ingredients. Now, K Winn, have you ever had an apple?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've been fortunate to live in Washington. My apples are crisp because the location of where we source them is not far, just across the mountains. Biggest producer of apples in the country. But if you're in Florida and you get a Washington apple, it might not be so crunchy, right? It's very far from the source. That's not the case with Magic Mind. They're sourced. And you know how you used to, if you wanted something, maybe your friend would say, I got a guy, and he'd go to a guy. But that guy wasn't the guy. It was always the guy after the guy after the guy. Therefore, the quality of the ingredients are not as good. The source of the product is, we don't know where we're
Average.
getting. Where are we getting that? That's not the case of Magic Mind. Lion's mane, all these good ingredients going into your Magic Mind super shot, as I call it, all sourced directly from the guy. The guy. He is the guy. So if you're digging an idea of just a short little shot in the morning, get you going, ease that anxiety for the day, give you a little boost of energy, some clarity in the mind, make sure you go to magicmind.com. We got a new discount code, an offer for the code. It is available for the first 10 users of this code. So make sure you get there with
40% off, too.
40% off discount. That's www.magicmind.com/Big Ben K Winn 40. And this is the source. We know it's good. So use my code Big Ben K Winn 40 for getting 40% off your subscription, available for the first 10 folks who get on and use it. Actually, 9. I already used it this morning. So good luck.
We are the
Magic Mind.
source of sports. Magic Mind is the source of sharper, cleaner energy. It's got that turmeric. It's got that lion's mane. It helps with older people like myself. The joints, the bones, they stay fresh. The anxiety, it just seems to go away. It helps with stress management. It helps to keep the body sharp, clean, and crisp. That's why I like it. It's the mental performance shot. I take it. You should take it. You're going to love it.
Boom. All right,
Boom.
where are we going?
You want to go NFL free
I
agency
want to go
or March
NFL
Madness?
free agency. Yeah. So right now we're kind of in this feeling out period of free agency. Who's in demand? Who's not? Who is a fit for your team? Who isn't? A lot of this stuff centers around quarterbacks, but I want to focus on a couple different positions. Actually, yes, two different positions. So there's big talks. Sam Darnold is really the only quarterback out there that's probably going to get you above 500, just based on what he did for the Vikings, just based on what last year looked like, right? But here's who I want to talk about. I want to talk about two other positions that are huge, big time positions, in my opinion, in the NFL, and to, I think, the NFL free agency pool in and around these positions is decent, pretty good relative to others. Good. I'm talking edge rushers, K Winn. I got 4 names for you. You
Okay,
get to
let's
pick.
hear it.
You get to pick 2. You get to pick
All right.
2. Josh Sweat from the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know how many sacks did they have during the Super Bowl.
Counting. I stopped watching the Super Bowl.
I mean, it was some ridiculous amount. Josh Sweat Hassan Reddick, who
Mhm.
also played for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Chase Young, who's now with the Saints, I believe, and Khalil Mack. So there's your four.
Okay.
What two are you taking on your team?
I meant recency bias. Josh Sweat and who was the other guy in the Eagles?
Hassan Reddick. He's
Yeah, I'm
not. He
taking. Oh no, he used to be on the Eagles.
used to be
He
on
went
the
to the
Eagles.
Jets but didn't play. I like Reddick and Sweat.
Reddick and
Khalil Mack's a little older. Chase Young, there's some questions about his work ethic and what he can do. I think, yeah, I'm going Reddick and Sweat.
the argument could be made for the other two, right? That's a pretty deep position. All right, let me go to wide receiver.
Well, I
Because
want to talk about the Eagles here. So you could argue three of the top nine best free agents are from the Eagles on defense. So you also have Milton Williams, defensive tackle, who
mm-hmm.
dominated the Chiefs, and you have Zach Bond, linebacker. So it's
Zach
going to be
Lightning and
interesting to
Wall of On,
see
yeah.
what the Eagles can do and how much of their core defense they can keep because everyone talked about their high powered offense. No one really talked a lot about their defense, but their defense was great.
I'm glad you brought this up because this is as a team, as an owner, as a GM, you have no better leverage than coming off a Super Bowl in any
Yeah.
sport, in my opinion, right? So because your negotiation chip now becomes: do you want to win or do you want more money? Do you want to go to a team that may not even sniff the playoffs, or do you want to stick with us, who, for all intents and purposes, have a pretty good roster and we're probably going to get back in the playoffs? But that is the question to all these free agents with the Eagles. Do you take a quote unquote hometown discount? Do you take this championship window discount? Uh, I believe it's Lori, right? Am I right in that?
It's Lori or Howie Rothstein.
One of the two.
One of the two. One's the
Or
GM, one's the owner.
it might be Howie Lori. It might be that.
But it's tough because in football, well, all sports, you can't pay everyone.
You can't. And that's
But
the
in
negotiation.
football, the average lifespan or career span of a player is not that long. So I'm not mad at a player that leaves to get paid because how many opportunities do you get to get paid with guaranteed money? Coming off a Super Bowl, it doesn't happen that often.
I think you got to ask yourself, what do you want your legacy to be? If you're a win, no one talks about a guy that took 60 million and went and played for the Tennessee Titans and never sniffed the playoffs.
But you already won a Super Bowl. There's your legacy.
Yeah, but two is better. Two is sweeter. Two is nicer.
Too tougher.
It's who's and it's the devil you know versus the one you don't, right? I
Yeah.
already know what it's like to go to practice. I already got a home. I got if you had a family, you're already working with what you know. Kids probably like their school or whatever it may be, right? You uproot. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in that. So I think the Eagles have a lot of leverage for their. I mean, I'm pretty sure Lowry or Sam, they look at it as no better year to have three really good free agents for us to go negotiate with, right?
Yeah.
Because we do have leverage, some leverage, not all the leverage, but some leverage. Okay, my other position. Let me get to you.
Okay.
Wide receiver.
Ooh, I like
Okay,
it.
just the divas of the NFL. God, the
Howie
price is going
Roseman
up.
was the GM, by the way, the
Howie
Eagles.
Roseman, thank you. The price is going up. Jamar Chase is going to set the bar even higher for wide
Yeah.
receivers. And wide receivers a
They
position
should
where
have paid him last year.
it's all relative to the output, right? I have more
Yeah.
receiving yards. I have more, and it's almost like there is an algorithm out there. The bar is set. Okay, Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the game right now. Where do you fit in that ladder, on that ladder, or relative to Jamar Chase? Two names come up, and one's kind of an anomaly because he's playing on the same team as Jamar Chase. T. Higgins,
Yeah.
and a guy that's kind of been, gosh, a lot of people just said get him a really good quarterback who we thought he had the last year and did have a decent season, Devontae Adams. Who would
Yeah.
you rather have, T. Higgins or Devontae Adams?
T. Higgins, he's like 25, I believe. I'd rather go youth on my side. And with Devontae, great talent.
Good time,
But there's
great.
something there, right? Like, he wanted out of Green Bay. He wanted out of the Raiders. Like, he's got the right to do that. But in this late in his career, I don't think he's the guy to do that anymore, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he doesn't have that equity, that clout.
Yeah.
I still see him as a really good wideout, like
He
really good
is.
wideout. And who knows? Can T be number one?
Yeah, we
We
don't know
know
that.
we know Devontae can.
Yeah.
I think we know that. I don't know if T can. Like, is he the
This is what
beneficiary of
I'm
Lamar?
watching. If T. Higgins, he got franchise tagged, so they still trade him. He stays in Cincinnati. What happens if one of the other wide receivers leaves and the domino effect? Like Amari Cooper. What if he leaves Buffalo? Could you imagine Devontae Adams sliding in, playing for the Bills?
I can. I don't know if I can imagine that. I don't know.
Really?
No,
You don't think it'd be a good fit?
I don't think he's a Bills guy. Like, there's the Bills are like the sum of the parts, right? They're not like 1-2 guys. They're not alpha outside of Josh Allen. Like, there's just not that there. And Stephon Diggs was for a bit, but it showed it just didn't work out. Diggs wanted, drop back and chuck it to me 10 times a game, 12 times a game, 15 times a game. Like, that's what he wanted. Devontae's kind of that guy too. He needs the ball in his hands, obviously. Is he a
What
blocking
about
wideout?
Devontae going to Tampa? Tampa doesn't want to sign
Listen,
Godwin. Do they
I
go young
I
or do
could see
they
that. I could see that absolutely. Mike Evans and Avante Adams, just
with
that'd be
big?
deadly duo. Very similar, big guys too. I
Yeah.
Yeah, there's fits with wide receivers, right? And
Well, then you think about the Texans. They've got Nico, they've got Tank
Tank
Dell,
Cinder.
but Diggs is a free agent. So, like, the Texans probably need to get one other guy there, because Diggs went across the middle, did a lot of the dirty work. I don't see Devontae fitting into the Texas scheme, but I can see Amari Cooper
Yeah, I don't
for the
think Amari's
Texans.
big enough to be the domino, right? Like, I don't think he pushes everyone else. I think it's going to be.
I don't think he's big enough, but I think that there's an opening for the
Yeah,
Buffalo
I could
Bills
see.
for a
Yeah,
wide receiver, and then from there, because if you look, it's T. Higgins, it's Godwin, it's Amari Cooper, it's Diggs. I think those are the main wide receivers,
you're right.
and like from there, we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's talk about quarterbacks then.
Okay.
You posed the question: where are all these free agent quarterbacks going? I believe.
Quarterback carousel is what I like to call it. There's 5 quarterbacks. There's probably 7 teams that either want to sign a quarterback, draft a quarterback, and coming next Wednesday is NFL free agency. So it's almost like if you don't get the quarterback at the price point you want, then you're going to draft a quarterback or you're going to figure out another way to it. So I want you to pick where you think the best fit is for Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and your boy Kirko.
Okay, I'm going to start with Kirk.
Okay.
Like, I don't think Kirk, like, he had a good thing going in Atlanta for a brief period, and then he just fell off a cliff. Penix Jr. finished up the season. I don't think he ever felt comfortable there, in the fact that he knew that if he failed, it's one of those things. If you know, like, the minute you, like, someone's on the bench, right, and they go to the scores booth and they're about to check in, you're like, is that for me? Are they coming in for me? And then all of a sudden you're not thinking about the game, you're not focused, right? It was like Penix was always at the bench, or excuse me, at the scores booth, ready to come in. You don't use a top 10 pick on that if that's not the case. Here's where Kirk's going back to Minnesota.
Ooh.
Hear me out. Know the offense, know the environment. Darnold's now, you're not going to be able to afford Darnold if you're the Minnesota Vikings, nor do you
He
probably
gone.
want to. He's gone. Bring Kirk. He's the trajectory's come down, the price has come down. You can give him a value pick, and he knows he's happy there, right? Sure, you have JJ, but again, you have to evaluate if he's ready coming off. He's more comfortable in that environment. Reunion in Minnesota for Kirk. Russ, same thing. Going to Vegas.
Wow. Wait,
Meet
let's
up
go
with
back to
Pete.
Kirk real quick. Another option I could see him going to Indy. It's the whole Flacco model. If Anthony
Yeah.
Richardson fails, you got Shane Steichen. The great offensive coordinator. He can slide in there. They're gonna have to pay him like 1 or 2 million. So why not?
Agreed. I think he'll get more like 3 or 4. 1 to 2 is like not just the clipboard holder. That's the Gatorade getter for 1 to 2
But he's
million.
getting like what, 30 million, 40 million
Yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
the Falcons.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying that? Yes, carryover. I see what you're saying. Yes. I can see that. I could absolutely see
Yeah.
that. He's good insurance, risk mitigation, whatever you want to call it. Russ is
So
in
you want
Las
Russ to the Raiders reunited, and it
and it
feels
feels
so
so good.
good.
Again, it's about continuity. Like the head coach wants to know what they're getting in a quarterback. The last thing you
Wait,
can do.
I thought there was a little fallout between Pete and Russ in Seattle.
That's the whole thing. That's a good storyline. They've come together again in Vegas. Ciara can do a residency in Vegas while Russ is playing for the Raiders. It fits, right? And I think Pete is a culture guy. Pete, compete every day. Russ is for them. He can play that part, and he's. I think we saw in Pittsburgh. He can win games for you still. He can win games for
Yeah,
you still. All right.
he can still throw that deep ball.
He can. Okay, here's another guy. So it didn't work with the Jets and Rodgers. Your traditional drop back pass. Rodgers got sacked a ton. His timing was off all the time. He's a timing guy, and he just didn't have the time to do what he needed to do with the Jets. So let's try Justin Fields.
Ooh, to the
Let's try
Jets.
Justin Fields to the Jets.
Okay.
So, I mean, the Jets can. This is one of the. It's lightning in a bottle. Justin Fields wasn't, and hear me out. I see Justin Fields on turf. I see him more of a run based quarterback. Brees Hall's kind of this check down out of the backfield guy, get him in space. That fits the mold with Justin Fields. Um, I like run the wing T if you're the Jets. Everything else has failed for you. Just get guys in space, get ball down the field, and the bar is extremely low, extremely extremely low. So Justin Fields to the Jets.
Know what I call Justin Fields? New nickname,
What
Airbnb, because he's gonna be a short-term rental. Get him for like
exactly?
1 or 2 years,
Do I
make
like
him our
living here?
quarterback.
Do I like living with this guy? I like that. Rodgers, he's a holdout. He's holding out until someone calls, a la Brady, kind of in a sense.
Is he
Where
gonna wait till after the draft?
yes, that's when you get leverage, right? That's when you go, you missed. Now all of a sudden my value's higher. It's the truth, right? That's how it works. Darnold,
Yeah, last one here.
here's what I think's going down Tennessee, and here's why I say that.
Okay.
I think they're not all the way. They're not so far down the scale with Will Levis that they're like, cut him for a fifth round draft pick. But yet they need someone there to model. They need someone to model what good looks like in terms of a quarterback. And it may come down to, Darnold's been around a bit.
Yeah.
He obviously knows what it takes to kind of take his career to the next level. Get him there for 2-year contract for 40 mil a year, and let Levis, who I believe is still on his rookie deal, see, and you kind of see what are we going to do. What do we do moving forward? I think he's a Tennessee guy.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, Darnold, everyone says he's going to the Raiders and he's looking for like a 3-year, 120 million plus contract. But besides the Raiders, the Giants could afford him, but I don't think the Giants want to go in that direction. I think the Giants want to draft a quarterback and pair that new quarterback with Malik Neighbors. So
Yeah,
I believe it's a very small market for Darnold, and it's probably Tennessee, the Raiders, and not really the Giants. He's got a 2-team market.
he does. He does, and that's I like what you said about the draft because if you miss on a quarterback, like if you're unsure, like there's only two, right? And they went and stacked rank like it's all relative in the quarterback market. They went and stacked rank the last like 21 quarterbacks drafted in the last 4 years, and based on intangibles and all sorts and stats and whatnot. And they said that Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders would be like 20 and 20 or 19 and 20 of those quarterbacks that have been drafted in the first round. So what does that tell you? Like if you're, if you look at that and go, whoa, these guys are good, but relative to the other guys that are coming through, not that great. What do you
Yeah.
do? Do you go out and spend a top 10 draft pick to get one of the guys only to have them be slightly better than Will Levis?
Well, that's a good argument because you need a quarterback, but the quarterbacks that are coming out now may or may not change your franchise. So, do you draft someone on the edge, someone on the offense line, and get ready for next year when Arch Manning's coming
There
out?
you go. I don't know. Arch might have 2 years.
Yeah.
I think he might
It
have
depends
2.
what happens.
Quarterback's not like this position where you're exhausted, right? We've seen players play into their 40s and still be relevant. I think Arch plays for 2 years, but I agree with you. If you're a team that's like, we're just going to get a rental, so let's get a rental on the cheap. Your $5 million, $10 million a year quarterback, but yet you're building for Arch or one of these quarterbacks that are going to come out. Get your offensive line set. Get your defensive line. Get a few good wide receivers, and you're going.
Because we always see the quarterback fail miserably. They don't have protection and they don't have a
Yeah.
run game. So maybe you build there and get your quarterback next year. Also got Lenore Sellers out of South Carolina. He had South Carolina rolling last year. He's a bigger quarterback, stronger quarterback, a little like Cam Newton. So you got him next year as well.
This is going to be like one of those where you're scratching your head. Who is this guy getting drafted in the second, third round? Because there's that reach. It's like, can we catch a guy, in that round and not because everyone said it's Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders, and then who knows? Jackson Dart, who knows? But I do like your point, like offensive line defense. We saw that in the NFL. Eagles had what top 5 offensive line in the NFL, and then what top 5 defensive line. Like that's where the
And the
game
best right tackle and left tackle in all
in the
of
game.
football are on the
Exactly.
Eagles.
Yep. And Saquon's buying them a Rolex right now because of the season.
100%.
Had to be. All right. You want to get out of here on March Madness?
Yeah.
Okay, I got something quick for you. You got to leave.
Let's hear it.
Of these teams that have won in the past, I went to 11 because UConn bookends the title game. Of these winners and of these runner-ups, who has the highest likelihood to win this year? Okay, ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Last year, UConn Purdue. 2023, UConn San Diego State. 2022, Kansas North Carolina. 2021, Baylor and Zags. 2019, Virginia Texas Tech. 2018, Nova Michigan. 2017, North Carolina Zags. North Carolina won, Zags lost. Runner up. 2016, Nova, North Carolina. 2015, this is where Duke, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
2014, UConn, and only time Kentucky is mentioned as either a runner-up or champion in the last 11 years.
So I got to pick one of those schools.
One of those
this
schools
year
this
with
year
their talent.
with their talent.
So what does Patrick Mahomes have in common with UConn Huskies? Neither one of them are going to three-peat. UConn's out. They don't play an ED. They don't have good point guard play. Kansas, they're tracking to
Slide
be in the
out.
playing game if they make the tournament. Kentucky, I think one of their players is out. I would say the best chance would be Michigan. Dusty Mays coaching up a good squad there. I like Wisconsin. They're very efficient on offense. They've got some players that are going to step into the spotlight. And then Duke, right? I think those 3 teams of all of those teams that you mentioned have the best shot at winning it all.
Duke just looks. It's like Duke's year, isn't it? It's an even year, an odd year. It's an odd year. Okay, it's a Duke high probability in Duke actually winning this year. They're either to win or get out in the first round. One of the two.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Shire is like Tommy Lloyd, great recruiter.
Yep.
We'll see if they can do X's and O's in the tournament and make adjustments. We haven't seen Tommy Lloyd do that. We haven't seen Shire do that yet.
Well, so Tom Izzo has been around forever. Like Tom Izzo, if Tom Izzo walked in your recruit, you'd be like, man, who's this stodgy old dude? as opposed to Lloyd and Shire. But he can get it done in March.
Yeah, because
He
he's a
can get
great
it done.
coach.
I'm excited. I just bought my tickets to the first round here in Seattle. God, I love March Madness.
It's great. Best
We
time of
went
the
last
year.
year to the women's, and it's just, I mean, so much. It could be your last game, right? It could
Yeah.
be your last game. Every game could be your last game in March.
We look at the women's side. You got Juju on USC. You
Ooh,
got Paige
yeah.
Buckets on UConn. They're playing better. They beat South Carolina. You got Texas. You got Notre Dame. Best
I
time of
think
the year.
I think it was last year where we said like the women's Final Four is 2 times better than the men's.
Yeah.
That could
They're
take
doing a
place.
better job marketing their players, right? So
Yeah,
we see them on TV. We know who they are.
someone's got Angel Reese has a McDonald's meal. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's pretty good too.
Yeah.
All right, maybe you
We
can
gonna do
pick
a
up.
social media mention? Get out of here
Maybe you can pick up some McDonald's on your way um,
to Venice.
to Venice.
Yeah.
All right, I got my social media mention. Are the Milwaukee Bucks a NBA title contender or pretender? At Dan Blau, aka Blau's house. I know Dan pretty well. He's a good old fraternity brother. He sells homes. If you want a home in Seattle area, call Dan. He calls himself the Netflix of realty.
Can you give me a place in Venice so I don't
He'll
have to
bring
commute to
you
work?
he'll bring you whatever you want. He said Middleton definitely has more juju than Kuz. You're right. I don't know if it's juju. I might have used the. I think Middleton just has better clout. He's more efficient than Kuz.
They're an NBA player.
Sure, take that.
All right, so I'm going to go to future MVPs. We want to know which player under 25 will win an MVP first. Paulo Banchero, Anthony Technical Edwards, and Cade Cunningham. At Darwin Watterson 101 on Instagram. Feel like Cade will be the first. And he might be onto something. Detroit, I believe, has won 10, 11.
Yeah,
He's playing well. And do you hear that noise? Is that an engine starting? No, that's the motorcade. That's right. Cade Cousins. Detroit basketball. He's looking good.
the
He's
motorcade
got
is
the
what they call it. That's great.
motorcade coming.
Gosh, if you want to get riled up, go watch the Detroit Pistons play in like the late '90s. It's absolutely insane. Fun. Enjoy your trip to Venice.
I will. But before we
Listen
get
to
out of
some ground
here,
noise. Yeah.
make sure you check out Magic Mind. That mental performance shot gives that clean, crisp edge. All the ingredients that Big Ben mentioned earlier. So go check out, go to magicmind.com/Big Ben K Winn 40, and you will receive up to 40% off at checkout. But this is only available to 10 customers, actually 9, because Ben just used one of the promo codes. So if you want that sharper, cleaner, crisper energy with healthy ingredients, go to magicmind.com/Big Ben K Winn 40. Use that at checkout. And I'm about to check out of here right now.
Boom.
Boom.
Safe travels.